I was trying to figure out in Nuendo how to do a poor man's room tone, meaning take a long take of something and then remove anything that has noise in it above a certain threshold, and then all that I have left is the remaining room tone, um, or low ambience. And I found that it was a little tricky, but I did figure out how to do it with the help of some really cool people in the Nuendo group on Facebook. So I figured I'd just make a video and show it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the take into a track, and then I'm going to duplicate it. So I've got two here, and this is going to be key. And then what I'm going to do, and I have the waveform zoomed in really close because we're looking at the quieter parts. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to audio and then advanced and then detect silence. And here I want to set my threshold really low in order to just have the low parts. And I'm going to make it, well, yeah, this will be good. And I'm going to go ahead and strip the silence. And so here we are left with the inverse of what we want. So we have all the quiet, the loud parts. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to put that on top of the other track. And so just to show again, and then I'm going to select the original clip, and then I'm going to go back to audio advanced and then delete overlaps. So now it deleted overlaps, and I'm going to move those back down. So now it's, split that out so that we have the loud parts here and the soft parts down there. So I'll go ahead and delete those. And so now I just have what should be, pretty close to room tone. And of course you always have to adjust it. There's probably breaths, and obviously there's things in here that are not quite right. So it's just to get you close. And then what I'm going to do here, and this was kind of a tricky part, is I'm going to select everything that remains, and then I'm going to set to shuffle mode, which of course I moved my window so we can't see all of the correct things. So my monitor is normally wider, so let me expand it out and drag it this way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set to shuffle mode. And this was kind of the missing piece for me here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag these back up to the other track, and they disappear. And the reason they disappear is they actually show up all the way in the beginning over here, but they're now all aligned up. So what I'm going to do is, since they're all still selected, just Control X to cut them, and then I'm going to go back to where I actually want them on my work track and paste them back in. So sweet, now we have all of these edits that are instantly next to each other. Now I am editing with zero crossings, snap to zero enabled, which is typically what I do, just to make sure there's no pops in the edits. So there shouldn't be any pops in here. And again, you'll see there's definitely some louder sections, so you'd have to fine tune it. This is more just to show the kind of workflow. And so what I'm going to do now is add a little bit of a bigger crossfade to all of them. And the easiest way I found to do that is to go here. Let me move this back over a little. So I select them all again, and then I'm going to set to quarter frame snap here, and I'm going to go back to grid. So I've got quarter frame, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my nudge setting. So I'm going to nudge the start of the clip to the left, and then the end of them to the right. And so what I've done is I've created this tiny little overlap here. So now I can hit X for auto crossfade, and now they have automatically created fades, in case you needed them. But that is the way I have figured to do this in Nuendo. So again, you still have to fine tune it. To fine tune, one of the things I found is that if I go back to shuffle mode, and as I'm listening to these various things, you know, like there's obviously a breath right there, so I can just select and then delete, and in shuffle mode it moves it right over. So makes it pretty easy to be like, hey, let's get rid of that. Here, breath here. So I'm just going to snip that and then hit delete, and it lines it right back up. And of course it doesn't have a fade anymore, but since we're editing on zero crossings, there's no click or anything. So you probably want to edit out any noises before you select all and do the nudge and crossfade. But I figured I would share what I'd figured out on this. So yeah, that is my way of doing the poor man's crossfade. Poor man's room tone. So cool.